Hello, you watch Afghan News with Mohsen Jamal. A provincial official in Afghanistan's eastern Laghman province says a roadside bomb has killed 6 civilians. Faizanullah Patan, a spokesman for the provincial governor, said Saturday's explosion, which occurred just outside Mehtarlam, the capital of Laghman, completely destroyed the car in which the 6 victims, 5 men and a woman, were traveling. The bombing, which took place at about 10 a.m. local time, was confirmed by Interior Ministry spokesman Siddiqui in Kabul, who said that 4 civilians had been killed. In the southern Nimroz province, gunmen on Saturday shot and killed a village elder in the Khashro district. Regional Chief Hashim Nurzai said Nimroz has been recommended to transition from NATO to Afghan security control later this year, while the city of Mehtarlam was transitioned in July. Many Afghan militants have traditionally had their strongholds in the south, but also carry out numerous attacks along the eastern border with Pakistan. At least 3 Afghan policemen have been wounded in a roadside bomb in western Afghanistan, officials said. The explosion took place at 11:30 a.m. local time on Islam Qala Road near the provincial customs office in Herat province, when a police vehicle ran over on Saturday morning, which also wounded 2 civilians. Militant groups used the roadside bombs to target foreign and Afghan troops, which often tax civilian casualties. Security responsibility for Herat city was handed over to Afghan forces, part of the first phase of transition process earlier this year. The international forces in Afghanistan play a positive role but are not operating very effectively, Russian Prime Minister Vladimir Putin said on Friday at a meeting with members of the Valdai Discussion Club. Putin said that the international forces are playing a positive role in Afghanistan but are not acting very effectively, particularly from the point of view of the drug threat. For that reason, Russia took the unprecedented step of allowing NATO transit of Russian airspace and overland routes to Afghanistan. Russia has in the past also criticized the coalition forces of not doing enough to curb the drug production in Afghanistan. The most powerful militant leader in Pakistan's North Waziristan border region has threatened to tear up a peace accord and turn his fighters against the Islamabad government. Hafiz Gul Bahadur has an unofficial non-aggression pact with the military, focusing instead on attacking U.S. troops in neighboring Afghanistan. Bahadur is known to have links with notorious militant groups in tribal North Waziristan, including the Haqqani network, which has emerged as the most high-profile threat to U.S. forces in Afghanistan. Bahadur criticized Pakistani leaders for allowing the United States to conduct drone missile strikes in North Waziristan and said the council of militant groups he heads would no longer hold talks with the government. Bahadur, who heads a Pakistani Taliban faction, in a statement distributed in North Waziristan, accused the government of firing mortar bombs and cannons on civilians and demolishing a hospital and other buildings in North Waziristan. An explosion has occurred at a military base to the west of the Iranian capital, Tehran. Iranian media reported on Saturday, giving few initial details. Ali Reza Janeh, head of security issues at the Tehran governor's office, was quoted as saying that the sound of the blast came from outside Tehran to the west of the province, but it was in one of the military bases there. Casualties feared, but the number has not officially been confirmed yet. Turkish security forces have raided a hijacked passenger ferry and killed the lone assailant, ending a 12-hour siege on the boat in the country's northwest, officials said. The commandos killed the man who hijacked the ferry with about 20 passengers on board. Hossein Avni Motlu, Istanbul's governor, announced on Saturday, adding that the crew and passengers were all safe and the identity of the hijacker, who was carrying explosives, was still being determined. Coast Guard boats and helicopter had been shadowing the ferry since it was hijacked on Friday evening after it set sail from the port of Izmit in the Sea of Marmara. The ferry was anchored just off the coast of the town of Silivri on Istanbul's outskirts, with initial reports saying up to 5 suspected members of a branch of the Kurdistan Workers' Party armed with explosives carried out the hijacking. The Arab League has come under mounting pressure to suspend Syria's membership as it meets to discuss the country's steadily worsening 8-month crisis. The regional bloc faces calls for from within its ranks and from European countries to act as its 22 member states meet in the Egyptian capital Cairo on Saturday after an earlier deal with Syria failed to achieve an end to the violence in the country. Under an Arab League plan agreed on November 2nd, Syria pledged to pull the military out of flashpoint cities, free political prisoners, and start talks with the opposition. Since then, security forces have killed more than 100 people in the central city of Homs, the Washington-based Human Rights Watch said in a report issued on Friday. The UN said, meanwhile, that the government's repression has left more than 3,500 people dead since protests against the rule of Bashar al-Assad, the Syrian president, erupted in mid-March. In that at least 11 people have been killed in heavy fighting in the Yemeni city of Taiz a day after a UN envoy began a new mission to push President Ali Abdullah Saleh to resign under a Gulf-backed peace plan. Witnesses and medical staff said at least 25 people were also wounded on Friday in fighting between Saleh's Republican guards and opposition tribesmen in Yemen's third largest city, a center of anti-Saleh protests. The fighting in Taiz started on Thursday after gunmen shot and critically wounded a soldier stationed at a government building and was followed by the killing of a pro-Saleh tribal leader and the wounding of one of his bodyguards. Meanwhile, UN envoy Jamal Ben Omar arrived in Sana'a, the capital, on Thursday to encourage an inclusive transition process that meets the needs and aspirations of all Yemenis, said Martin Nasserki, a spokesman for UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. That is all for now. Thanks for joining us.